that point, Congressman French Hill joins us. He was at the hearing earlier, and I was struck by one of your colleagues, Patrick McHenry, is the ranking member. He was actually just on our show Monday, as a matter of fact. But I saw him quoted today as saying this was a hearing in search of a headline. So I'm curious, as the day went on, did you guys find one? And if so, what was the headline today?
Well, I think Republicans on the committee took the opportunity to talk about major issues that relate to the health of the financial market, the competitiveness of Americans' economy and America's banks. And that's what we focused on. We had a chance to talk to the heads of 50% of America's banking assets. These companies have 80% of global transactions pass through their companies. So it was an opportunity to ask about sanctions. How are sanctions working? What are you doing on cyber issues? How do you think that the systemic risk is in the economy? And that's what we talked about.
Cyber came up as almost all these CEOs were looking at, thought that was the biggest risk because they thought it was interesting to the system. On systemic questions, you know, a decade out from the financial crisis, put quite simply, are some of those banks still too big to fail? If J.P. Morgan was in trouble, we'd still bail them out, wouldn't we, for better or worse? What do you think?
Well, look, I think they have more liquidity, more capital than they had during the crisis. They have the total loss absorbing capacity funding for each of these companies. So they are prepared for a downturn. And I think the changes put in place post-Dodd-Frank on recovery and self-sufficiency are good. I think they testified that they are stronger and they can weather another storm.
Wouldn't need a bailout if it came to that. They wouldn't need a bailout.
Well, I think they don't believe they need a bailout.
Okay.
I don't believe that we've cured too big to fail because I'm not right. I don't believe we've cured it in our society. I don't know that it's curable.
Okay.
But the main issue is that liquidity, capital purposes, the oversight of their business is far superior than going into 2007-8.
Okay, let me ask you about income inequality before I let you go, because it came up over and over, right, at the hearing. I heard people citing stats that, you know, the CEO makes 400 or 500 times what the median worker does. From where you sit, is that an issue, a legitimate issue that something needs to, A, be done about, or if you don't think so, do you look at it as, well, that's something that we might see the other side pushing in terms of legislation?
Well, you see the other side push this issue on diversity and pay. We have the CEO pay ratio that was included in Dodd-Frank. That was the origin of the material today. Look, these companies have to make a profit. To make a profit, they have to serve customers effectively, and that takes shareholders, employees, and management all working together for the benefit of those customers and to produce a return for shareholders. So I believe it was overstated in the hearing today. All these companies live in a very competitive market for personnel in the cities where they are located, and they have to have competitive compensation. I believe they do work at that every single day.
All right, Congressman Hill, it's always good to have you on the show. Thanks for coming on today.
Appreciate it.
All right.